Seconds to look at this list because now we're going to start. You're only getting one name, right? So hello everyone. I'm a scene Rangarajan. I'm a poster chair for this year. So in a moment, about half an hour, we're going to go over to a different building to actually see the posters. But we're going to have a 1 minute, based on, or actually 55-second preview of each single one, so that you can get one quick view all the different posters. So we're going to start. It's all automatically timed, but again, if you finish anything early, feel free to use the space bar to kick off to the next slide. I will advance to the next slide and go ahead.
Hi, I'm Andreas Felten, and our poster is titled Femto Photography. And essentially, we built a trillion frame per second fast camera that can measure the time of flight as it moves through a scene. And we have a model of inverse transient light transport, and we can do things like look around the corner and see things that actually are not in our picture. But we can also just aim this camera directly at an interesting scene and just capture a movie with a trillion frames per second. And we have a few movies set up with our poster where you can see light like moving like waves of water through the scene. And yeah, we encourage you to just come over and have a look and maybe suggest some scenes that we can capture in the future that you would be interested in. Thanks.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Ashwin. So my poster is on compressive sensing of videos. And videos are extremely hard to sense compressively because of the transitive nature of time, which basically means that you can't go back in time to sense something that you didn't sense in the first place. And so this makes it really hard to get a very high compression rate or and then sense compressively. So one of the key points of our poster is we build a computational camera that senses dynamic textures. Like, dynamic textures are really nice because they're both generative and predictive. What this really means is that any measurements we take at a time instant can be used to sense video, a whole volume of video, even if it's in the future or in the past. And all this leads to a nice system that can sense at very high compression rates. And finally, given that dynamic textures are used in classification, this proposed design is purposive as well, in the sense that it senses the features that are shown. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ryan Chakravarti, and so hyperspectral images are essentially images with higher spectral resolution than RGB, which means that they have more than 3 spectral or color measurements of each pixel. And people are using their applications to them for regular objects in series, like relighting recognition. We saw an example today for photometric stereo, and therefore people want to capture these images. But we don't know as much about the statistics of these images that we like as we do for RGB and hyperspectral images. So this work has essentially 2 contributions. The first is a database of hyperspectral scenes with 31 measurements at each pixel, which we use as ground truth for acquisition systems or other applications. And then we use this database to do a statistical analysis of that data. We look at optimal bases and representations for hyperspectral patches by the separable. And then we look at the statistics of coefficients in these cases. So more details in our poster.
So how do y'all feel about water drops? Personally, I think they're boring. They're cold, they're wet, you go outside, it's all gloomy. But the worst part is you can't play Tetris. So we improved on this with a projector camera system and water drop display. It's being demoed in room A401 in the other building. Much better than rain, I think you'll agree.
This is an interactive image-based relighting. So user can interact with the relighting result in real time. And it's also very easy to combine traditional relighting techniques. But one of the key features for this program is that user can control spatially varying directional light to create light bending effects. Like the example here, which is the result of bending light to affect only some area of the face. If you want to know more of this, come visit our demo. Thank you.
Well, that's pretty cool.
function is a Radon's model for light that includes spatial, directional variation, as well as the color spectrum and also temporal light variation. So we built an experimental acquisition system that is capable of capturing these high-dimensional data sets, or at least parts of that. And we see some examples here. We captured a bunch of multi-spectral light fields that have many different viewpoints of the scene, including global illumination effects and about 30 different color channels. We also captured data sets that include controlled motion in the scene and multi-spectral images. So here we see the custom multi-spectral camera that we built in the lab, and we can mount that on a gantry, for instance, to capture the light fields. So with this, we hope to further advance the study of redundancies within the planoptic function and get better acquisition approaches in the future.
Okay, I'm Sanjeev, and in this paper we propose a linear solution to reconstruct a trajectory in three-dimensional space given image projection and camera poses. We parameterize the trajectory using a DCT trajectory basis, and we triangulate it in three-dimensional space using a DLT algorithm. Also, we propose a measure of the reconstruction accuracy, which we call the reconstructability, that characterize when we can reconstruct and in which case we can reconstruct. And for more detail, please come to our poster. Thanks.
See the pictures here. Let's see. We know how to reconstruct 3D shape when light behaves, but that rarely happens. Light misbehaves all the time. It bounces around, it scatters, it diffuses, and it is defocused. So how do we reconstruct 3D shape when light misbehaves? What do we do for scenes like these? What do we do indoors, underwater, in an underground cave, for translucent materials? We have designed patterns and techniques for structured light 3D scanning which are invariant to these global illumination effects. They can very easily be integrated with existing structured light systems. For more details and results, please come to our poster. Thank you.
All right, I'm Michael Holroyd. In my poster, I'll talk about the system we built at the University of Virginia for acquiring the full 3D shape and spatially varying BRDF of sort of desktop-sized objects. We do this using coaxial devices, which are a camera aligned to a high-frequency sinusoidal illumination pattern. This makes calibration a lot easier for a number of reasons, and most importantly, because you're taking your shape and reflectance measurements from the same location, it's much easier to merge the models afterwards instead of trying to align 2D images to 3D geometry. And I should have a demo with some of the real objects and demo that you can move them around. So come by and check it out.
At last, it's finally springtime in Pittsburgh. But of course, we're all wondering, where's the sun? Well, astronomers thought for a long time it was orbiting around the Earth. And then they figured out, wait a minute, no, that's the other way around. The Earth is orbiting around the sun, and the sun's at the center of the universe. And then they realized, wait, that's also not true. The sun's not at the center of the universe, somewhere around here. Pretty boring answer, to say the least. In biology, they said, well, all you have to do to find the sun is look where the plants are growing. It's called phototropism. Easy, right? And in neuroscience, well, they tell us, well, no matter exactly where the sun is, it has to come from the top, right? So we can say that on the left, the circles are convex, and those are concave. But what about computer vision? Is there anything we can say about the sun in a single image? Well, in our work, we finally answered the question once and for all. From this single image, we automatically guess where the sun comes from, and we can use our estimate to relight virtual objects in the image. So if you want to see how we do it, come check us out. Thank you.
So assume you're climbing a rock, and the rock is just way too smooth. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just climb it? Or you're just way too young to be taken seriously, and you can get your job. You can just 4 milliseconds. So in 200 frames a second, we can do all this stuff.
I'm Prasanna Rangarajan. My paper's on shape estimation and natural illumination. It's motivated by 2 observations. Shape from shading is hard, photometric stereo is easy. So shape from shading, you have an object, single point light source, and shape training algorithms have a very difficult time with it, so Mozart looks really bad. You give yourself 3 lights, suddenly the problem becomes easy. You can get perfect reconstructions in this scenario. So the increased variability by having 3 light sources makes the problem easy. So we asked the question, well, what about natural illumination? There's variability in natural illumination that we can exploit for shape reconstruction. So come see our poster where I show that with a single image and calibrated lighting, we can get high quality shape reconstruction with a lot of detail. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sanjeev Koppal, and I'm going to talk to you, if you come by my poster, about micro vision sensors. Now, you've seen a lot of cameras today, and all of them exist in biology already. You have these wide field of view, compound eyes in insects, you have camera arrays in spiders, you even have mirrors in the eyes of some fish. And what all of these have in common is that they look over a wide field of view and they're really quick. And we've proposed an optical design that will make that happen. So if you want to know how it works, come by my poster. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Brown, and this is joint work with Sylvain at EPFL. And we're looking at near-infrared imagery, which is something which we're seeing more and more of in computational photography, mainly due to the natural sensitivity of silicon there. And you can also see, if you look in the top left of our picture, that it has lots of differences from RGB at the scene level. So for example, the sky is dark, trees are bright white, and man-made objects such as these spectrals look totally different. So we're interested in whether this computational photography trick can also be used for computer vision, and whether we use it for scene recognition, which is starting to appear in your camera for things like detecting backlit portraits and rendering the scene appropriately. So to do this, we build a large data set with lots of images simultaneously captured in color and near infrared. And then we're going to explore a variety of techniques for performing recognition in this divided image band. If you'd like to hear about it, come to the talk.
So in my poster, I'm going to be talking about using stochastic illumination, which have mean zero, identical, and independent distributions, and how it can be useful for analyzing light transport. So in this scene, we're going to look at how we can use these patterns to analyze a scene with both low frequency and high frequency global illumination effects. So one approach is to fix illumination patterns shifting across the scene to separate out direct and global illumination, but unfortunately this doesn't work for scenes with a high frequency global illumination, such as because of the mirror in that scene. But we can use stochastic illumination patterns instead to do separation of the direct and global results. And if you notice here, the light in the direct image isn't reflected, well, the image doesn't include the light reflected off the mirror. So I'll talk about how these patterns can be used for both can be used for range acquisition and matrix approximation.
Hi. If you were at SIGGRAPH this past year, you saw a new way for presenting street-side imagery, which we called Street Slide. And over the past few months, we worked to bring this from the desktop down to the iPhone. And if you'd like to see how it works on the iPhone, come by. And if you have an iPhone, come along and we'll get it, make sure it's on your iPhone. We had to solve a lot of problems in how to very robustly and automatically do multi-perspective panoramas of every street in every city. Well, so far, the cores of most cities in the US. And anyway, this is a little demo of how it works. And if you've got an iPhone, it can work on your phone today. And we'll try it out, or you can see it on mine when you come down and take a look.
Hi, my name is Kim, and this is about a coded Aperture-Based Hyperspectral Imaging application for Bayesian. Birds has complained that we have a tetrachromatic vision and weather, and humans could never appreciate their plumage, and the same way they do. So, our solution is, well, with this view camera, even though our eye has a tetrachromatic vision, and we will be able to admire and bird's colorfulness just like the bird's breath. Thank you.
I'm going to present our work on localizing parts of faces using a consensus of exemplars. This is work done with Peter Vladimir, David Jacobs, David Friedman, and myself. And localizing parts of faces, such as the mouth, nose, or eyes, is very difficult to do accurately and reliably. And we're going to show how we do it using the outputs of local detectors combined with a consensus of global models constructed from a set of labeled exemplars. We evaluate on a real data set of real images, which are really challenging because of pose, lighting, expression, occlusions, image quality, and so on. Our results are so good, they almost speak for themselves, but I'll be there to help.
Hi, I'm Koppal. Can you capture a 200 frames per second video using a 25 frames per second camera? P2C, programmable pixel compressive camera, allows you to do just that. We don't need an extra camera. We don't need to sacrifice spatial resolution, and we don't need a complicated motion model. So, for example, using our per pixel modulation, we can capture a complicated dance motion using an order of magnitude slower camera. Notice the subframe dynamics being brought out using our camera and our approach. And we build a prototype using an LCOS mirror. And in fact, we can actually capture challenging data sets such as a transparent marble falling in a glass of water at a faster rate. So visit P2C to learn more.
Hi, my name is Prasanna, and I'm from SMU. So what my work basically tries to describe is how do you structure light or pattern illumination to solve two long-standing problems in imaging. The first is the band-limited nature of the optics, and the second is the ability to recover depth. Now what's particularly interesting is cameras are band-limited. In the sense, what it means is the camera behaves like a low-pass filter. So no amount of sharpening is going to help the camera resolve the barcode. And no amount of shrinking the size of the pixel is going to help the camera resolve the barcode. So what we try and do is use structured illumination to modulate spatial detail that the camera could not see. And what's interesting is, by presenting patterns, not only can you super resolve, so now you're able to resolve the barcode as you can see here, you can also recover topographic information. So please come visit the poster if you're interested in seeing how this works. We have a small demo. Thank you.
A lot of cool applications today and in computer vision in general. But there's something that in a lot of applications we tend to sweep under the rug. That's noise, which comes in as uninvited guests to our party. So we studied the problem of denoising and the limits of how well we can denoise any given image. And that performance bound takes into account the amount of redundancy and complexity. And based on this information, we have designed an algorithm which nearly achieves this bound. So what we want to do is we want to get some sort of an image which is clean but not lacking in texture a lot. So come by my poster and we can talk more about this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rohit Pandharkar from MIT Media Lab. We have been hearing a lot about compressive sensing, and compressive sensing is good. But is it good enough? So we try to take a step back and analyze how well and how compressible are images, multispectral data, videos, and light fields. We took thousands of images, videos, and light field data sets and tried to see how well the reconstruction performance SNR is by using projective capture techniques like the randomized projections as well as the progressive transform projections, like serially projecting the DCT coefficients. And our results show that actually the compressive sensing with the traditional way, which is the randomized projections, are questionable to be used for lower dimensional signals. For more information, come visit our poster.
So our work is about deblurring images corrupted by camera shake. We analyze edges in images, and we show that we can construct what's named the Radon transform of the blur kernel. What's good for us, there's also something named the inverse Radon transform. So we use it, we get back the kernel, and with it we can decompose the image, which is what we should see soon. So here's what we get once we have the kernel.
When researchers study people look on images, they typically do this at high resolution images. But where actually curious where people look when the resolution reduces and reduces down to blurrier images. And so we ran an experiment. We showed 64 people, 168 images at 8 different resolutions. And that helped us answer questions like this. What is the lowest resolution that you can go to such that people are still looking at the same place that they looked at the high resolution image? And secondly, on which resolution are humans most consistent about where they look in the image? For a demo and for answers to these questions, come chat with me on my poster.
Hello, I'm Xun Cao. I'm not Yiwen. Yiwen is a beautiful girl, which I'm not. Also built a very beautiful system which can capture the image both vertically and horizontally. So what is good about this system? According to the paper's draft, such system overcomes the challenge of blurry image alignment and reduces the ambiguity of blind deblurring. Thanks to the aided hardware, the algorithm based on such image pair can handle large-scale and complex motion blur and give high-quality kernel estimation and image restoration.
First alternative is trying to put the HDR pipeline in the software. We have tried it and come up with a low-cost algorithm. And of course, there are some limitations, and I can discuss if you come to the poster. We will also talk about the next step, which is instead of using HDR methods, using exposure fusion methods, which can produce good results as well.
Can we build light field camera which can also produce full resolution 2D photographs? It is extremely difficult using a lenslet-based light field camera to obtain high resolution 2D images. We show that using an invertible mask-based light field camera, we can also obtain full resolution images as if they are captured using a normal camera. Thanks.
Everybody likes thin cell phones and laptop screens, but one limit is the camera. And there's a limit on the camera length depending on field of view and resolution. And we propose to reduce this depth by developing interleaving camera images. And we built a prototype with micro lenses that's just 1.4 millimeters thick. And this is the prototype mounted on the off-the-shelf sensor. This was what the sensor sees, and we real-time channel interleaving to produce this image on the left.
Hello, my name is Dmitry Znamensky. I'm from a group video and image processing of Philips Research. Together with my colleagues Karl Schmeitz and Remco Mais was working on a sweeping focus application. So if you will see to my poster stand and see a small metal box which making ticking sound, don't be afraid, so it's not a bomb, it's a sweeping focus camera. So this camera always producing blurred images, but the blur is somehow insensitive to the depth and also insensitive to motion of objects. And therefore can be removed together with the depth and motion information. So you will see sharp images, either in projectors or in camera applications. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Xun Cao. Xun Cao is a hand sample of HDR. And we propose a high-resolution multi-spectral video system. And the previous system either trade spatial or temporal information for spectral information.
So
you need to advance it yourself because I don't have any timings for it.
So here we propose a system which achieves high resolution in all the spatial, spectral, and temporal domain. And this is the principle of the system. Assuming a scene, a light ray from the scene first made a split, half of the light rays is mirrored by and received by RGB camera, and the other part of the light made a prism which can disperse the light from the spectrum and then received by the grayscale camera. And to avoid the overlap of the spectrum, we place an occlusion mask on the optic path, and then in the RGB camera we got a high spatial resolution or low resolution video, and in the grayscale camera we got a low spatial resolution, high spectral resolution video. And this is the implementation of our system. And after we got the two video streams, we do the alignment and then try to propagate the spectral information, and finally get the high resolution spectral video. We verify our system with some tracking applications and automatic white balance, and we have also other application examples. If you are interested, please come to the post.
My name is Vladimir Bychkovsky. I'm working with. All right, so I'll start at the beginning first. So this is joint work with Sylvain and Vladimir.
Just go down to the bottom.
I'll just show you some. Is that full screen? Oops. Is there a way to make it full screen? Oh. Well, so when images come out of the camera, they're usually not very attractive. So we propose a method that allows you to automatically adjust them. And for most casual users, this may be enough. However, we go one step further and allow you to personalize them. So in this case, there's only one slider. I'll show you how you could potentially adjust brightness in this image. Here I'm making it slightly brighter. Now, ideally, what I'd like to do is to have the system learn my adjustment. And so right now, the image is brighter, and I'm not like that. I can adjust one more image in a slightly different way. So step by step, our system allows you to train it to your personal style. And here again, appropriate adjustment. So with a few iterations, you can potentially adjust a very large collection of images to your personal style. Here's a quick review so you can see them all side by side. So this is the input, that's adjustment, fully automatic adjustment, that's personalized collection. If you want to learn about details on the input, comes to my poster.
Okay, so that's all of them. We ended on time. And Shree's going to have a few words about the poster session.
Okay, let's fast forward. How do you move a crowd from point A to point B to point C? People have tried fluid dynamics, particle physics, nuclear physics, all of this stuff. Let's try crowdsourcing. Everybody, the poster session will be held in Newell Simon Hall. So if you walk just outside this room, there is a door that that you can just push open and then go down outside. Or you can take the elevator and go to the third floor and go to the other side. So you walk to point C, I should say, is you have to move around.
Just check out it.